R423.
This old-time radio program was originally aired live, long before the advent of high fidelity. We hope, however, that any variance in audio quality will not take away from your pleasure in listening to this, one of the all-time favorite shows.
Hello, folks. I've looked out at you from the movie screen and the stage, but I never got a chance to talk to you at home before. Now, I'm not going to tell you any jokes. I just want to get acquainted with you and talk over the affairs of the day with you. Now, you take wars. They're a terrible thing, but as long as women are crazy over an officer's uniform, there's going to be war. If we ever have another war, it's going to be right here on the home ground. No use paying transportation going to Europe hunting a war. Just think how cheap we could put on a war without a shipping board. Instead of paying rich men $1 a year to help run it, why, just pay them what they're worth. That'd be a big saving. Foreign nations wondered how we could train our soldiers to quit. That's because we only train them to go one way. Of course, what they need in the next war, and should have had it in the last one, is a referee. And the minute the war is over, let him announce who won and how much. Now, Turkey had hard luck lately. They had an extra war all booked and got it canceled on them. You have to engage the wars way ahead with Turkey. She likes to finish war Saturday and open with some other country Monday, so there's no overhead at all. Turkey don't care about winning or losing one war. It's just how they average up at the end of the season. Then, when they have any time off, they put it in by rehearsing on the Armenians. Last fall, England kind of wanted us to join in with them and help them fight Turkey. We couldn't go into another war. Haven't got any slogans. Couldn't go into war anyhow. We're 2 bonuses behind as it is. Besides, we might win it. Couldn't afford to win another one. I got a plan that'll stop all wars. When you can't agree with your neighbor, you move away. Or with your wife, she either shoots you or moves away from you. Now, that's my plan. Move nations away from each other. Take France, Germany. They can't agree. Well, take France and trade places with Japan. Let Japan live there by Germany. And if those two want to fight, well, let them fight. Who cares? We'd run excursions to war like that. We don't always agree with Mexico. Well, trade Mexico off to Turkey, arms and all. Now, we got men in this country get along great with Turkey. Then that would solve the Irish problem. Take England and move them away from Ireland. Take them over to Canada and let them live on their son-in-law. When you move England away from Ireland, don't you let Ireland know where you're taking them, or they'll follow them and get them. Thanks, Mother. This is Mother's Day. It's Mother's Day. Of course, it's pretty late in the evening now to remind you of it. If you didn't know it before, there's not much you can do about it now. Unless you, you might possibly shame me into going or phone into a florist. They're keeping open this evening just to accommodate late consciences. Mother's, it's a beautiful thought. I was just in here in another studio listening to a friend of mine, Rabbi Magnin, a very popular Jewish rabbi out here who's delivering a beautiful thing over Mother's Day. And I felt ashamed to come in with my little words, I mean well, but I ain't got the words. Mother's Day, it's a beautiful thought, but it's somebody with a hurting conscience that thought of the idea. It was someone who had neglected the mother for years, and then they figured out, I got to do something about Mama. And, and then they said, well, we'll give Mama a day, And knowing Mama that was easy, they figured, well, we'll just give her a day, and it'll be all right with Mama. Give her a day, then in return, my mother gives you the other 364, see? And I think that was awful liberal of whoever thought of the idea, giving her one out of the 365. That was tremendously liberal. They could have had, we have Apple Week and Don't Beat Your Wife Week and Safety Week and everything. They could have given Mother a week, but that would have been giving Mother a little the best of it. So they says, we'll give Mother a day. And, of course, I doubt even then if the thing had gone through if it hadn't been for the florists. They grabbed it and started putting the idea over it, The florists, they did that. Of course, florists have, they got mothers too. Florists have, but they've got more flowers than they got mothers. And they've got a great organization, the florists have. It's nothing unusual any day for me to get a telegram saying, Congressman Jasbo just died. We have special spray of beautiful lilies holding till we hear from you. And, well, maybe I didn't know more than know Congressman Jasbo, but it just shows you that these... And it just shows you that these... I have a habit of playing with a few money while I'm talking. And just shows you that these florists are on the job every minute. Florists, they've just practically corralled this Mother Day business. They have led us to believe that no matter how we have treated our mother during the past year, that a little bouquet of hyacinths of verbenias will square it, Not only with Mother, but with our conscience, too. When, as a matter of fact, you don't have to be squared with your mother. She knows you better than you know yourself. A mother is the only thing that is so constituted that they possess eternal love. Under any and all circumstances, no matter how you treat them, you still have the love. I was telling that to my wife today, and I was telling her a little thought that I wanted to use in there, and I said, Betty, I says, a mother and a dog is the only two things that has eternal love. That no matter how you treat them, and my wife made me cut the dog out, said it didn't. Well, it didn't sound very good, and it might sound disrespectful to a mother, but I certainly didn't mean it that way, but it was the only thing there really is. You know what I mean? And so the poor old dog, he'll have to go. I can't use it on account of my wife made you leave the dog out, but he still loves you just the same, and just as much as a mother did, but this being, maybe someday we'll have Dog Day, too, or something. I can use that on the dog, but I really do. I hate to leave the dog out, but my wife runs this outfit, and...
And now, ladies and gentlemen, that good Gulf spokesman, Will Rogers, and his famous alarm clock, speaking from Los Angeles, California.
Thank you very much. Today is today's plan day. I sort of give an inkling of the Rogers plan to an agonized world today. But, the Townsend plan and various others of similar nature went down in Congress with a tremendous majority. So it looks like kind of a bad day for plans. I think Townsend was a conscientious, well-meaning, humanitarian old gentleman. I believe he'd had lowered his sights and called for maybe $50 instead of $200 a month, and took out the clause where they had to spend it. Old people, are naturally kind of conservative and saving, and they'd have hated to spend money every week if they really didn't need to. Our government is the only people that just love to spend without being compelled to at all. But the government is the only people that don't have to worry where it's coming from. One bad thing about the Townsend plan was that it built up false hopes in the minds of all old and worthy people, and you got them to expecting something which didn't look like they'd be able to receive. Now, Friday, Congress did pass a bill to give $15. Then the state is to match that and they give $15, and that would make $30. Well, the Senate, it's got to go before the Senate yet. I think the Senate should raise that at least 5 or 10 more in the state, and that would make it maybe $40 or maybe $40, $50. See? That's just my idea. I don't know whether it'll be carried out. We're the last civilized nation if you can call it that, to do anything for old people. All we do is just we just watch them get older is all we do. We give them, but we should give them enough that we'll get them out of poor farms and let them live where they want it. Lots of wise guys can kid about this old fella Townsend and call him a nut, but he's got a lot to do with getting the old folks any pension at all, I think. He throwed such a scare into Congress that they might have to pay $200 if they finally settled with him for $15. That's what. And well, maybe the old gentleman, maybe if he'd asked for $500, why, maybe he would have got 50. I don't know. Well, anyhow, as I say, it was a bad week for plans. Even Huey, who is king of the planners, he had a tough bit going this last week, too, with his share of the wealth. Secretary Ickes and Relief Commissioner Hopkins, who handles more money than any man in the world, they says, no, you're not going to share any of our wealth, you know. Well, Huey was kind of figuring on sharing for a while. And, you know, the national problem is in this country today is not who shall be relieved and whose money shall relieve him, but who shall be the one that plays Santa Claus and actually hands out the presents, you know. That's the main problem today is who hands out the presents. Huey says he should wear the whiskers. And Ickes and Mr. Hopkins, they say no, since we've got sleigh bells ourselves. Governor Talmadge down in Georgia, he had a plan. It hit a rut and knocked him right out of the bread line last week. It's been a bad week on plans all around. I'm not going to get discouraged, though. In fact, these other failures, well, they've given me confidence, you know. More hope that my plan will be a success. My plan to state it in a nutshell, and in fact, that's where all plans come from. And the nuts should never be cracked. But here is my plan in a nutshell. My plan is a plan to end all plans. Okay. It's to do away with all plans. That's what it is. This country has been planned to death, the same as we were sloganed to death during the war. Had we never had a slogan, we would be at peace with the world today. But every time anybody thought of a new slogan, why, we dived deeper and deeper into the war. We saved democracy and we ended all the wars, and there just wasn't anything we wasn't able to do with a slogan. And we're performing the same miracle with plans. There ain't but one place that a plan is any good and that it'll really work, and that's on paper. On paper, a plan. But the minute you get it off a sheet of paper and get it out in the air and it blows away, that's it. Now, Mr. Roosevelt, he dragged more schoolmarms. Yes, he did. He dragged more schoolmarms out of little red schoolhouses, and they had more plans than they had shirts. We could ask for a new plan, and they could drag a freshman out quicker than they could a fresh pair of socks. Republican presidents, that's one thing about Republican presidents. They never went in much for plans. They only had one plan. It says, boys, my head is turned. Just get it while you can. And, somebody come along and they use that with a plan to plow under part of the cotton. We did, and other nations like Brazil found out where we'd plowed it under, and they come and dug it up, and now they've got more cotton than we have. Somebody had a plan to teach hogs birth control, and now it's a habit with them. Now you can go out and find a deer quicker than you can a hog now. Somebody had a plan to plow under every third acre of wheat, and the wind come along and blew out the other 2 acres. It was all a fine plan. It was a fine plan, well carried out. We wanted to raise commodity prices, and And Mr. Wallace, naturally, he wanted to give the farmer a profit the same as the manufacturer. Now we find there's more people eating than there is raising. You see, that's why you can never get the thing straight with the farmer. You know, because there naturally is more eating than there is raising. And if you get things too high, the guy that eats is going to come in hollering, you know. So that makes so that's what they're kicking on now. They're kicking, so plans just don't work. If they're milk and honey to you, they're poison ivy to somebody else, you know.
This concludes the first part of this cassette. Please turn the cassette over and begin again on side 2.
NRA, that was a fine plan. It was based on the theory that everybody that had should help those that hadn't. That was all the NRA ever was. But the minute we found out that while it might be helping the other man, it certainly wasn't helping us, and it blew up. Yeah, you know, we just figured it wasn't helping us so much, but it wasn't so hot. The NRA was started with a lot of parades and ended in almost a revolution. Father Coughlin's got a plan. Father Coughlin, knowing, well-meaning man who would like to help his fellow man to better his condition. Whether his plan will work or not is another question. But even if your plan don't work, it ain't any discredit, you know. Our own Savior had a plan, in fact, 10 of them. He left them to us, and he knew they'd help us, and we know they'll help us. And he said, love thy neighbors thyself, but I bet there ain't 2 people in your block that's speaking to each other. We know there should be no war. We know that old people, maybe they should get $200 a month or maybe more. We know that everybody should share the wealth. We know that all these things, we know them all in our own heart, but I don't know, we just ain't going to do them, that's all. You know, we know them. Now, Huey's plan of share the wealth, it's a marvelous idea, and old Huey's a smart guy. Don't overlook that. And in our own downright conscience tells us that there's no reason why anybody should have more than you. There ain't nothing wrong with the plan, only just one little defect. Nobody ain't gonna share it with you, that's all. I know a lot of tremendously rich people that should share their wealth with me, but they just don't see it my way. Then I know folks that ain't got as much as I have that think I ought to share with them. Well, I just can't hardly see it that way either, you know. That is, even if I can see it that way, I'm not doing it. We take the case, for instance, of Huey. Suppose Huey was asked to divide his publicity with the other 95 senators. Now, what a fine thing, you know. Say, Huey, we just want you to split this publicity with them, see? Well, that'd be just like getting J.P. Morgan to split what he had with the Navajos or something, you know. Morgan would say, well, why should I split with the Navajos? I got nothing in common with the Navajos. Well, that's what Huey would say. Why should I split with the other 95 senators? I've got nothing in common with them. Now, everybody got a plan. Congress got a plan. That plan is to pass all resolutions that have an appropriation connected with it, see? Anything that carries an appropriation, Congress will pass it, see? They'll vote it, but they don't vote where the money is coming from. That's what Congress' plan is, to keep it a secret where the money is coming from. That's one of their plans. Mr. Hoover's got a plan. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's got something to do with moving east next fall, a year from this next fall. I think that's kind of roughly it. Ogden Mills used to be Secretary of the Treasury, very able man. He's got a plan. Here's to see that Mr. Hoover don't move east. He says that he's got more money than Hoover and is naturally more able to move himself. Teddy Roosevelt Jr., he's got a plan. His is that there should be a Roosevelt in the White House, but not this one. Mrs. Roosevelt, she has plans, plenty of them. She plans to do bigger and more things during the next administration. Now, the Republicans, they got a plan. Their plan is to do nothing, and then Roosevelt can't either. do nothing, and then Roosevelt can't either. The Democrats, they got a plan. Well, they got millions of them. You couldn't hardly mention all of that. But the Democrats' plan is next year is election year. See? Hold the post office, boys. They shall not pass. That's all. Now, big business. We're always hearing about big business, see? Big business has got a plan. Theirs is, they talk to Mr. Roosevelt, says, quit trying to reform us and give us a chance to recover. You know, that's what business says. Quit trying to reform us and give us a chance to recover. Roosevelt says, can't you reform and recover too? Well, that looks like he's had a hard day. But big business answer is, no, we can't do anything with a cop on every corner watching everything we do. Give us a chance. Then honest, they say, give us a chance. And honest, when we're able, we'll reform. And then besides, they asked Mr. Roosevelt, Mr. Roosevelt, we never know what you are going to do next. Roosevelt says, neither do I. Well, no, he can't ask. Business says to Roosevelt, look how England is recovering. For they're being let alone. Their business is being let alone, and nobody's bothering it. Roosevelt says, yes, you pay as big an income tax as England does, and we'll recover too. See? So it just seems, you know, all these plans, but none of them pleases everybody, you know. So my plan, which is still in the nutshell, is when a senator, or congressman, or even a man of great ability, we was quit joking about those boys because they're good guys. You know? The reason a congressman and a senator is all right, every time we ever let one out, a worse one gets in. That's all I know. But anyhow, here's my plan. I got to get back here. Tell it till you get. It's when a senator, a congressman, or anybody else, or man or woman, comes to Washington with a plan, is send them to Russia. Yes, sir. Send them to Russia with a plan. That's the home of plans, you know. That's the home. Russia, they eat and sleep and drink plans in Russia. That's why there's starvation there. Because you just can't digest the plan. It don't eat right. Everything in Russia is run by plans. Everything here is run by accident. But now my plan is don't plan. Whatever you do, don't do it purposely. You know. Live haphazard. You know, just kind of go through life haphazardly. Well, even more than we are now. There's nothing in the world as common as an idea, and there's nothing in the world as hard to carry out as an idea. So let's all just kind of call a moratorium on plans. If the Republicans would forget their main plan, which is to get into the White House, and the Democrats would forget their main plan, which is to stay in there, and the others, all these various third parties, would just look at their history, which shows that none of them ever did get in there, why, we'd all recover overnight if they'd forget about the White House. So if you hear a man expounding a plan over your radio, run, don't walk to the nearest dial and tune him right into the ground. So, and the plan and the plan will go right back into the nutshell where it belongs. Boy, I beat my clock tonight. I'm all right. That's finished. That is it. Say, here, first time I ever beat the old alarm clock. Say, I bet here's something you ain't heard all day. I bet all day today. You know, in your Easter bonnet. I've heard that all the way. It's pretty. It's my favorite too. To be at Easter and such a wonderful Easter day and so many marvelous ceremonies. I've heard that all. In your Easter bonnet with all the frills upon it. You'll be the grandest lady in the Easter parade. It will be all in clover, and when they look us over, you'll be the grandest lady in the Easter parade. Toastmaster, gentlemen, you too, politicians. The Democrats are the middle-of-the-road party. The Republicans are the straddle of the road party, so I hereby nominate Mr. Henry Ford for president and christen the party the All Over the Road Party. In the first place, it's too bad he is so competent. That is the only thing that'll beat him. Miss Ford's a good friend of mine, and years ago, he overlooked a suggestion that would have made him immortal. It was when he went over to stop the war. I wanted him to take the girls we had in the Follies and let them wear the same costumes they wore in the show and march them down between the trenches. Believe me, the boys would have been out before Christmas. He has made more money than any man in the world by paying the highest wages. Yet, he don't even manufacture necessities. Neither would you call it a luxury. It just kind of comes under the heading of knickknacks. I was at his home last year and happened to ask him that in case of stiff opposition, just how cheap he could sell his cars. He said, "Why, Will, by controlling the selling of the parts, I could give the cars away." He said, "Why, those things would shake off enough bolts in a year to pay for themselves. And second year, that's just pure profit." People think Dr. Couey was the originator of auto-suggestion, but Miss Ford is. He originated all those suggestions when he made the synopsis of a car. He has just recently lowered the price, $50. That's done to discourage thievery. He is the first man that ever took a joke and made it practical. So let's let him take this country. Maybe he can repeat. He should make a good political race, as he carries 2/3 of this country now. There's no reason why there shouldn't be a Ford in the White House or everywhere else. He's the only man that could make Congress earn their salary. He would start a bill through and give each one something to tack onto it. When it come out, it would be ready to use. He is the only man that when Congress started stalling could lift up the hood and see what was the matter with it. Some are against him because he don't know history. What we need in there is a man that can make history, not recite it. Now, if Mr. Ford will just take another one of my suggestions, he can be elected. If he will just make one speech and say, "Voters, if I am elected, I will change the front on them." You know, these talking machines are great things. When you come to a theater or movies to see some of us and you don't like our act, you just kind of out of courtesy, you have to stick and see it through. But on one of these, if you don't like us, you just stop the machine, take the record off, and accidentally drop it on the floor. Then the only annoyance we cause you is sweeping up. Now, folks, all I know is just what little news I read every day in the papers. I see where another wife out on Long Island near New York just shot her husband. Season opened a month earlier this year. Prohibition caused all this. There's just as many husbands shot at in the old days, but women were missing them. Prohibitions improved their marksmanship 90%. Never a day passes in New York without some innocent bystander being shot. You just stand around this town long enough and be innocent, and somebody's going to shoot you. One day there was 4 shots. That's the best shooting ever done in this town. It's hard to find 4 innocent people in New York, even if you don't stop to shoot them. That's why a policeman never has to aim here. He just shoots up the street anywhere. No matter who he hits, it's the right one. Robberies. Did you ever read about so many robbers? I see where some of our cities and towns are talking about being more strict with these robbers. When they catch them from now on, they're going to publish their names. They've been having every kind of a week here in New York. Mile week, apple week, and one called Don't Get Hurt week. Taxi cab drivers couldn't hardly wait till the following Monday to run over you. Everybody's talking about what's the matter with this country and what the country needs. What this country needs worse than anything else is a place to park your car. What our big cities need is another orange in these orange aid stands. See where a New York society woman is suing her ex-husband again, claims she can't properly support that child on $50,000 a year alimony. Somebody's been feeding that young one meat. Lots of people wondered why we left our soldiers in Germany so long. That's so they could get the mail was sent to them during war. We had to leave them over there. 2 of them hadn't married yet. I'm off Ireland for home rule from now on. I read an Irish paper the other day and it says liquor is 18 cents a quart. Can you imagine a nation wanting more freedom than that? See where the Ku Klux is coming into New York? Yes, they're here. I'm no fool. You ain't gonna get me telling no jokes about them.